Hello, today I want to show you how to organize your notes in Word, so using Microsoft Word. We use Word inside Teams in our Files tab, where we put the Word file, inside our tab, and usually a blank file, and we use it to take notes during the class. At least this is what most of you do. Now, when taking notes, we tend to write whatever is happening in class. We just write it in order with date. We give a name to our file with a date, and we write in line, let's say, one after the other, the things that happened in class. Now, there is a way for us to be a little bit more organized and help the student, and it doesn't really require much work from us, except for initial settings that anyway will take between 3 and 4 minutes. Okay, so I want to show you now an example of this note taking in a file that I have. So let's say that here we have a lesson done on the 26th, 11, 24 on the past tense, and we have also a lesson on the 28th, 11, 24. Both of this class, both of the notes of this class are on the same document. And let's have a look at the notes from the 26th. I click on here. I have notes about vocabulary, about grammar, about I put a listening exercise that we did in class, a reading exercise that we did in class, a writing exercise that we did in class, speaking as well that we did, some homework, and a Q&A. So questions that the student might have on the topic with answers. So as you know, when we put a Word file in our Files tab on Teams, we can give to the student a possibility to edit the file. So at the same time, we and the student can collaborate on the same file. A little bit like it is with Google Doc. But is inside Teams, and the documents are all organized inside our tabs. If you don't know how, because sounds new to you, there is a video still on the Develop Your Digital Skills on the BLE that shows how to use the tab files within Teams within your channel. Now, once I have this file inside Teams, inside my Files tab, I can let the student edit. So if the student is allowed to edit, it will be allowed also to do their homework. They can write questions on. I will answer directly to the questions on these files. I know that these things can happen also in the chat. There are different ways how these things can happen. But if we keep everything within this file, the students will be able to find what he needs to revise, what he needs to study. So, of course, the key stays in the title that we give, apart from the date. It's good for us to write also what the lesson was about, roughly. I mean, we don't need to go too much in details, but it might be good to note it there. Now, as you can see, I created different chapters, and within these chapters, I create empty chapters at the beginning of the lesson, and then during the lesson, I fill them up. That doesn't mean that I will fill them up, all of them. So maybe in a class, there's really nothing reading relating. We're not going to do a reading. Maybe we're going to do some grammar and some listening and nothing else. So some of these sub-chapter will remain empty. I mean, it's not a big deal. What usually is always filled up is the new vocabulary, because for every lesson we will find new words. Mm. The beauty of the fact that the student can edit the file as well, it means that the student can also add the translation himself or themselves. So we have a new vocabulary, we have grammar. So here what we done during the class, present perfect, past perfect, key differences, and also a fill the gap exercise within this grammar point. This part can be wrote during the class, but it could also be something that you create before the class. So maybe a picture of a book, reference to the book. So you say, okay, here, look at the page 10, the unit 5. And then here, maybe if there are some extra explanation that come out during the class, you can write those as well. And as well, things that you can pre-prepare are the listening. So for example, you can copy and paste from our listening exercise that you might have in your language. So maybe here we put an audio file link so they can click and listen to the file. It might be a YouTube or might be another audio that you might have. Comprehension questions. And then here below, because the student can edit, we'll be able to write the answers right on these files. You see here we have a reading, a link to an article and comprehension questions, the writing, and even here the student can just write beneath the task that you gave them. Speaking, a role play, and then as I said, we have the homework. Here the student can actually do their homework. And then Q&A, where student ask a question and the teacher answer. I can keep those closed. So for the next lesson, I will create a new date. And again, with the same structure. So every time I copy my structure, and then I can put inside before the class whatever I need, and then keep filling it up during the class. Now, these are some subtitles that I created, but that doesn't mean that you might not come up with different subtitles, different section of your file. It does work a little bit like OneNote works, that is divided in chapter and subchapters. But how did I do that? Now, here, let's open this one. Let's go in Q&A. Let's go in here, okay? Now, here, I'm going to write a new date. Okay, so what I do now, I select my title, my new title, and you see here on top, I have styles. In here, I will click on the little arrow that is on the bottom right corner, and it will open a new window. Sometimes it opens, it's very small, so you have to enlarge it. Now, I want to make this one the main title, so I will click on heading 1. And here we are. We are now in the first part of our notes. Let me close here so we can see properly in one page. Okay, so I have my new class. Now, as you know, I need to create all the single subchapter. What I suggest is to create a separate file word as a template, where you create the date in the main heading, all the subchapter, you leave them empty, and every time you just copy and paste in this file, so you don't have to reassign every time the titles. But for the moment, we don't have it, so I will show you how to create it from scratch. So we have created a first title. Now here we're going to have what we had on the top here. So new vocabulary and all the rest. Okay, I have all my titles, so I can close this one. I have all my titles and I need to make them subchapter. So I select one and I give it heading 3 because it's a little bit smaller. Heading 2 is quite big. Grammar, heading 3, listening. Okay, I have now selected all my subchapter. I can close the pop-up window. And as you can see here now, we have our um, subtitles. And in here, then I will write wherever I need to write. Hmm? And thanks to the arrow, I can always close. Hmm? And again, here now, I will have my lesson after the 28th. My next lesson is the 2nd of December 2024. And in this way, I have all my notes organized for the student. It's easy to go back to it. It's all in one document. Of course, the document may become very heavy at one point. So maybe you want to do a document per month or maybe a document per level. That's up to you. I wouldn't use a document per date uh, because thanks to the fact that you can close everything, then it gets a little bit better and more sense if you just have more than one title inside the same file. But however you want to organize it, then it depends also on the style of your classes, on how often do you have them, and many things. But I hope this video was helpful and see you next time.